Alright guys, so first episode officially almost did not happen. There was a gas leak. Emric talked to the firefighter.
A lot of traffic in Toronto. We went to Walmart to buy some tripod because we forgot them.
Yeah, we need to drive 1 hour to get to the Walmart with the traffic. Was a shitload of problem, but we made it through, man. It was awesome.
So we had some technical issues, some audio problem. We only found out when we were back from Toronto. So you can still hear very good, but so the sound quality might just not be as good as we want it to be. Yep. But you can still enjoy the episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome episode. Yeah. We talk about a lot of the journey of our guests. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Axel Villamil.
Here's to the bold thinkers, the risk takers, and the creators who dare to see beyond the ordinary.
The ones who challenge a rule, who aren't afraid of the unknown, and who know that greatness is born from taking risk. While others may question their path, they move toward what's next.
Skating to where the puck will be, not where it was. They don't let the no's or the not yets hold them back.
Because those who are bold enough to believe they can change the world are the one who does. Welcome to the Purple Cow Podcast, where we celebrate the one who make their mark on the world.
Boys, how you doing?
What's up?
Very good.
Boys,
you and you?
Nice to see you, man.
Happy to see you. Hope your morning. I know the morning was shit,
Yes.
but
Perfect.
life.
Side quest, you know?
Yeah, you gotta have it. So congratulations, the first episode.
Yes. Pretty excited. Thank you for being there.
Of course, no. It's so, you know what? Xavier hit me up out of nowhere. I'm like, who's this guy? I'm like, who is this? Like, no pictures. So I was like, this is like either that's like really cool or like suspect. And then I was like, all right.
I was so freaking out last night because I sent you the wrong address, so I was like, oh damn, that would be so crazy. Yeah, that's the wrong address.
No, it's all good. No, but like that's what you gotta do. You have to like take your shot, and then it's just like happening at the perfect time that you're all, doing this thing. So congratulations. I know it's a big start. Yeah, no worries. Of course.
Yeah. So Xavier told us you were back from the Philippines.
Yeah, I was there. It was there for family. It was a wedding. It was beautiful.
Oh, who got married?
My cousin, and she's like friends with the mayor, and like, but the mayor in like in Asian countries is like God, right? So like her my partner. So I was one of the groomsmen, and you have like a partner, right? You get like one of the bridesmaids. Yes. And it was like the daughter of the mayor. I was like, I gotta chill. Like I gotta chill. I'm gonna get shot out of here. Security.
Which part of the Philippines?
So my mom's from South Side. It's like in Negros, and then Negros is like the island, and then she's from Cadiz City. Okay. So we had the wedding in Bacolod, and then my mom's sister also lives in Manila. So spent the last half in Manila. Manila's crazy, guys. I reffed a little person fight. Like little people.
Like
yeah.
That's awesome.
It was, so I see my friend and I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, I'm like, let's catch up. We're all drinking. And I was like, yo, did you see that spot? Like, there's like little people over there. I'm like, that's sick. Trying to go? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So I go in and there's like nobody fighting. I'm like, this is boring. So she's like, ask the waitress, when did they fight? I'm like, how much does it cost? She's like, $50. I'm like, $50? Send them right here. And then they go, you want to ref? I'm like, I get to ref my first fight ever. And it's like a little person fight. And I did. They almost hit me in the nuts, which was crazy. It was so funny. And they were like the nicest guys. These guys are like, yo, what's up? We out here. My name's John. And like, we're just taking selfies with them. Like, it was such a fun night. And I showed my mom the picture. She's like, where did you go? Like, where did you go? But yeah, man, Philippines is good.
Was it boxing or wrestling?
It was boxing. Like, yo, these guys like threw down. Like there was that point where they took off their helmets or like, their head protection. And I was like, oh, we're going for it.
They were after.
And I heard like a pop. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, you're going for it. But they were so fun. They were putting on a show.
That's awesome.
I don't know. None of the white guys were paying for none of the guys were paying for a fight. I paid for the fight. I was like, yeah, it was good, man. It was good.
Oh, that's awesome. And you went there how long?
About like 3.5 weeks. So, but I did some business down there too. So I was looking into some manufacturers. Like one thing Philippines really good for is like making stuff, right? It's cheaper, labor's good, but also like natural items like bamboo and then like shells and as well as like weaving. So it's like a big deal. So I'm working on a little side project right now, coming to light soon. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be my first time ever trying that side of the industry. So
all right.
But yeah.
Is it more like a product?
Yeah, okay. I'm starting a fashion line.
Okay.
And like I've never done this. But you know what? Like the one thing about entrepreneurship, you have that imposter syndrome. You're like, oh, I'm not a designer or whatever. I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Like, let's just try it. So my mom's connected to a friend, and she does like bougie candles for people in like Dubai and like Saudi. And I asked her, I'm like, do you know some people that would make custom fans? Because you know, like the rave scene, they love like big fans, and as well as like they want statement pieces. So I'm like, I wonder if we can do like, we call it pamai pai, and it's like made out of like bamboo and like banana leaves. So I was like, all right, let's do my own. So I made a custom version, got the prototype made down there, and then gonna go ahead and, you know, gift it to my friends. And then we're working on a bunch of other things too. So yeah, man, just gotta try. Like, I don't know.
Crazy.
See what happens.
I love it.
Thank you.
That's the secret, yo. We're young. We don't know shit about entrepreneurs. No, the only thing that we know is doing the thing.
Well, I would.
You just gotta do it.
You just gotta do it. Like I saw you're doing, was it alcohol
Yeah,
company?
so
Me and him are starting our alcohol brand in Quebec,
Okay.
and he's having a production.
Doing production company? All right, I can help you there. I can give advice here. This one I have.
already did.
I got you. Don't worry. And then I have a lot of friends in your space too, so I can. I'll do my best to tell like stories and, you know, whatever. But okay, how's it been so far? Has it been good?
Stuff, but it's insane. Like,
Tough time.
All right, 30 second pitch. Tell me about it.
Oh,
Yo, okay, so our company
go.
is called Memories.
Okay.
and our goal is because we've seen that people don't go out anymore. Like, it's less and less, but you know, we're social people. It's important to be around people, so we created alcohol, because alcohol when you're young, it's like, you know, a center point, and our how we say this, our clientele
Yep.
side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
an
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
but we pitch for the 18 to 25 years old, so the
Perfect.
young one, and we call it Memories because we want that people, you know, can go out, have fun.
Yeah.
Like, in 10 years they can, you know, talk to their friends like, oh, how nice was this?
Got it.
And one of our marketing stunt is we have little camera, disable camera that, you know, you take 25 pictures and then it's dead.
Okay,
So
cool.
we make it develop, then we make a little video of it, post it on our IG, and they get it back. So it's like,
So it's like a product and a service. Is that exactly what's happening? So.
but so like every weekend they're going out and they giving out cameras.
Oh, I see.
So
It's like that one guy on TikTok. He's like, "Can I give you?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's giving them, and the pictures are getting posted on the Memories page.
Cool.
People are looking for it, and people are watching a lot of time because they want the pictures.
yeah.
So that's how they grow social medias. We filmed the little videos too. They're gonna post soon.
Cool.
so because, you know, in Quebec it's like super tough selling alcohol.
Yeah. No, it's tough.
Have a lot of permit, and everything need to, if you don't have the permit, you need to delete everything to everyone. So
Fucking SAQ, huh?
Super.
we choose not to go in the ACQs because
Yeah.
it's even more complex.
Yeah.
But just getting there to create the product, it's like you need a lot of money, and you
How about like getting into it like a DEP?
yes,
Yeah.
getting to a depth.
Got it.
You need to go backdoor. So now we're in discussion with like 5 or 6 around our
Makes sense.
original city.
Cool.
But like the thing that we are working on now for the investor eventually is that if we create a brand before the product,
100%.
it will be better. That's why we are creating a lot
Great idea.
on the media social, so that
Yes.
when we are one day going to seek for, I don't know, $1,000,
Yeah.
we'll have like already maybe 1,000 fans, 1,000 followers, a couple of views. So we're creating something around
Smart.
around the fun making more than drinking the alcohol.
Got it. You need the community for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Community first. Okay, cool. So
And that's going pretty well. Like there's a lot of expenses for them. I think.
Next week we just spent like
Yeah.
$6,000 for our chemistry and like
Yeah.
our lawyer. So,
oh, lawyers. Oh my god.
Like we need them, but them it's
No,
expensive.
like okay. So I'm gonna give you a tip about lawyers. They will come for you. They don't care if you have no money. They'll figure out a way to get your money. So, and not saying you don't need them. You need your lawyers. Like my lawyers have been some of the best lawyers who have helped me out in like sticky situations. But one thing you want to do when you're early is really just get your product and your community down first and foremost. So you can take, nobody knows you yet, right? So nobody knows you. I know like regulations for alcohol especially is very tricky. So your lawyers need to be there, but fine. You don't need the big lawyers yet. Like start small, get some friends to help, you know, GPT your life away. That's not legal advice though, but like obviously
It's a saving.
it's a safe, and
saver.
I personally think GPT is gonna change the way companies are nowadays. Like everybody's like, oh, you need like tens and 20, 50 people in your company. I'm like, you really don't anymore. You could actually possibly survive, with a small team like yourselves and actually exit really well with like, a couple 100 million. And a lot of, I guess, older investors and older entrepreneurs are pissed off about that right now because they couldn't do that. They had to split up all their equity. But I'm like, now I got GPT. I got like 20, 50 people in GPT doing shit for me. I got my personal trainer. I got my PR. I got my personal assistant, like everything in GPT. But you just have to use it right. So
as a creative yourself, would you say like AI development might be like scary for some jobs in like artistic ways?
Y'all are fucked. Like y'all are fucked. Like it's so scary. You're fucked. Yeah. Like background on me, the first thing I ever did entrepreneurial was a production company, and it's called Red Label Studios, now called Red Label Collective. And I started this in high school. Like I was like, great, yeah, shit. You did your research. It started in the most random way, and I did like. I saw like an empty warehouse building because warehouses are cool, like, for like photo shoots. And I was like, hey, can I just shoot something in here? I'll take pictures of your warehouse in return. And when I started this company, the idea was just to make cool shit and help out friends. And I ended up getting random gigs. Like I got lucky. Like somebody was sick. And the artist who saw me, she's like, hey, do you have a camera? I'm like, totally. So I worked my ass off. Like, see these cameras you have? So just for everybody listening, guys were like, this is the first podcast. I got lower budget. I'm like, you don't have to explain shit to me. I've been here. But these cameras is what gets you millions of dollars later. You know what I mean? You have to start somewhere. Like I started on a MacBook camera on my YouTube channel before, right? Just to film shit. And then all of a sudden Usher and T-Pain are like reposting me when I was doing dance videos back in the day. So, but with production, you just gotta like go for it. Like I personally think the cameras, it's whatever, your edits at the end of the day. And like media nowadays, it doesn't really matter as long as you can edit more. But back to your question about AI, writers, it's rough. I have a lot of writer friends who write for The Bear and Marvel and stuff like that. And I'm like, how was it? And they go, sucks, man. Like writer strikes. But they come from this very strong background of believing that, technology is not going to take over, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, y'all gotta really, it is. And like, you have to really be careful. Editors, like we're talking about Opus, great editing software. But at the end of the day, it's taking away from editors' jobs because it cuts down the time by like more than 80%. It gets the job done. And founders like myself, like for example, Michelle Romano is a friend of mine from Dragon's Den. We're talking about her socials because, I help consult for her. She consults for me. And I asked her, I was like, do you care? She goes, no, I just need to get this thing done. Like, let's get it done. So put it through AI and just put it out there, right? It's like putting it out there is all that matters. Quality is really good still, but getting it out there in terms of speed is like also a big deal. And that's what AI is doing. So I think a lot of creatives are, I wouldn't say fully in trouble. It's just we have to think differently about how we exist in this industry.
Hey, we need to adapt.
Exactly. There's so many creators who don't know all these AI tools. I'm like, I literally have a folder of bookmarks, like your custom bookmark folder on TikTok, just AI tools, because it's like keeping up to date, right? And I'm like, shit, if I don't keep up to date, then I'm lost in the industry. And that's what Red Label had to move a lot of things. Like for example, the car industry, my friend would have to done a bunch of retakes, like redrive the car. They do this thing called wet downs for like water on the street so it looks shiny. Yep. So he does things for like Mercedes and like BMW. And then now he's like, I don't have to do that. I could extend the clip if I wanted in Premiere, like because Adobe released that, right?
That feature is crazy.
Lost my mind, right? Yeah. So there's so many things that it helps you save on costs, but people like writers, people like animators, just personally, I think they're in trouble. It's just they have to adapt. That's it, man.
Speaking of a Red Label, we've seen the client that you work with, and we've seen you work with the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about this.
FBI and NASA. What the fuck?
About this, it's insane.
Bro, the most random. I don't know how I fall into the. Okay, so one thing about me, shit randomly happens. Like I have.
The FBI randomly called you.
Before we even like get into that, I've never fully interviewed for a job in my life. Like I just kind of like. I think the way this works and why this works for me is just I'm just so genuine as a person. Like I'm very rich in life, and that's like attractive. Like we're all here for a reason. We're all like talking and engaged because like we're all super genuine, and this guy found me because of like a super genuine ass like reel that went viral. And then now, you know, in terms of like FBI, I started a random podcast company, and this podcast company we worked, and they would just like, I wasn't in control here as the founder. This guy really loved to do like police stuff and like the Navy and the Army. I'm like, all right. So we had like the head of the Air Force on our like advisory board. I'm like,
That's insane.
insane. I don't know. I'm like, is she gonna drop something? Like, I was like, if we mess up. So I get a call and he's like, yo, we're going to Washington. I'm like, what? And it's like it was a podcast about like race and identity. Okay. And like this is fully up there, which is messed up. Like I'm on FBI.gov, which is so weird to say. And he's like, yo, we're going to the FBI. I'm like, this is crazy. So back and forth, every like piece of serial number that you have on your technology, you have to submit to them, like down to your SIM card.
Wow.
It was the craziest security.
They know everything.
Everything. Oh yeah, for sure. Wow. But yo, I got through security quick at the airport. When like right after that, I was like, I don't know what they did, but I'm smooth through the airport in the US. So we go to the FBI, and I'm like, first guest. So I'm like all of you. I'm like, okay, we're gonna interview this guy. He seemed like a regular dude. He looked like just like a dad. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. And he's like, yep, I'm the liaison for like whatever the accessibility thing was. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I guess HR, nice, cute. And he's like, I'm also the head of weapons of mass destruction. And I'm like,
That's awesome,
bro. I'm like, this is crazy. And then like the next person, she's like, oh yeah, I'm like, you know, she's telling her like nice role, and then she's like, I'm also like a special agent in the field. I'm like, they could just kill me right now. But it was just a normal office. Like, I'll give you the tea about this office. Go in, fucking normal office. Like nothing crazy. Like you would think it's like, oh, I'm sure there's high tech shit that I don't see, but like you go in, and it was also really like, what's the word? Progressive. Like so progressive in there. I was like, oh, this is like PC as fuck. I keep going, but then there's this hallway, which is crazy. It's like the FBI movie hallway. So you see all the movies every FBI or the FBI has contributed. So like there's like Wolf of Wall Street, I forget any movie you can think of that the FBI is part of, they had to consult. So they put all the movie posters and like signed by the actors. I'm like, this is really cool. The other hallway though, this is the most wanted hallway. And then you see all like the most wanted pictures everywhere. But it's just like, it's weird because you're in the office, right? And there's like, you know, Miss Jenny with her kids and grandkids pictures, and then like Osama bin Laden. Like I was like,
And
it was wild. But they were like, everybody's really nice. Everybody's super cool. And just like you would walk down and just like somebody's birthday party was happening. Like I was like, this is the FBI.
Wow. That's just a normal office. Crazy job titles.
Exactly. It's just their line of work is totally different, right? It's just been so glamorized by the movies and everything, but it's just a normal place. Their industry just seems a little odd to all of us. I'm like, oh yeah, you have to think about your kill list today. Like, you know what I mean? Like something like that. So
and the
NASA was random too.
Went on a rocket?
No, that would have been cool. Steve Radar. He's the head of innovation at NASA. And so again, the founder I was working with, this guy was crazy. We're not, we don't do business anymore, and I left the company. But with him, he got some crazy guests, and like that's what his talent. So Steve Radar, he's like, can you be the interviewer? I'm like, all right. And he's the head of innovation, and he taught me something really cool. So I don't know if you know about this at NASA. One thing they do is they blackline like all the information. Let's say you have a project, right? Have you been in the airport and you have to put your hands up like this and you get scanned?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that device NASA helped out with. And one of the things that they needed help with was figuring out how to do this. And so they do this like creative, how do you call it? They just send it out to everybody around the world, but they blackline a lot of stuff. And the reason they do this is so they can get other industries to innovate. Exactly. So they use a cell phone guy to help you, get that machine working. And this guy used like cell phone signals enabled to do a full X-ray of your body in a very quick way. So they needed to use people that you wouldn't conventionally think are part of that industry to innovate further technology. So that's why NASA is like kicking ass right now, is they're secretly just sending it out to a lot of people. But that's the way you innovate. You have to mix different things together.
More competition is better for the
Exactly.
Great job.
Exactly.
like I said, I found you with this clip of the talk me more about this, because I think the three of us here see ourselves in this type of person, because we're running to business, we're young, I'm going back to school, we just moved into a big city, and we love this, and I personally think that we can do it all. So tell us more about
successful degenerate like that
until 6 a.m. then going back to work.
Done some crazy shit, guys. I remember there's like parties in like Europe, and you're partying with entrepreneurs. We'll get into this all later, but the successful degenerate, like, it kind of came upon me when I've been meeting a lot of other people in my line of work, and very successful people. So I'd go to these conferences, whether it's Web Summit I'd speak at, and that's like the biggest tech conference in the world. There's also this one other conference, invite only, it's called Summit, and Summit at Sea was the one I went on. And Summit has like the craziest people, and like when I mean the craziest, like, it was just Richard Branson was just walking in front of me. I was just like, oh shit. I'm like, he's just on the beach right here. But like, we used his yacht, or his was a Virgin Airlines, the Virgin Voyage, and they chartered it all out. But like, the people that were with me were like massive names like you would never know, names that you wouldn't know because they don't want you to know. Those like big CEOs, and they party, and like they party hard. So it's funny, I saw who you follow. Right, I can't. So it's so funny because I get to tell this story on here. I've been, oh shit, hell yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna meet some random people.
You saw the picture of partying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you follow Scott Galloway.
Yes,
So I got a story for you.
No way.
So he was on that boat, and I was like, oh shit, and I love Scott Galloway. Yeah, awesome. That dude's a savage. And if you, for the people that are listening, he's was a head of marketing at NYU.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he's a massive entrepreneur. He's in a lot of spaces.
Like 6-7 business.
And he's
podcast.
And he's just straight to the point. He doesn't give a fuck. But I had to do my research when I went to this space, and so one of my advisors, and it's like, I would say he's a massive mentor of mine. He goes, "These people are so conceited, it's not even funny." And I'm like, "You're right. Scott Galloway is a conceited," and he says he's conceited. So I'm out partying, 4 a.m., feeling faded. Come back from one of the like 3 clubs that are on the ship, and we go, and I just see Scott, because he's speaking on the event, and I'm like, oh shit, Scott Galloway. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, and I'm like, I'm drunk. I'm drunk. And I'm like, either I do this now, or I don't get the chance at all. So I was like, all right, what do I call him, Scott or Prof G? And I'm like, hey yo, Prof G. And I was like, and he comes out the elevator. I was like, yo, I thought this guy wouldn't like. Awesome. He came fully. I was like, yo, what's up? I'm like, bro, I love the podcast. He's like, yo, man, thanks. And he came out, he dabbed me nice, and he dabbed me like, don't leave me hang. Yeah, and he dabbed me, and I was like, oh, Scott can dab. Like, he's like, Scott Galloway is like, he's the one. And he goes to me, and he's like, oh, nice to meet you, man. He's like, where are you from? I'm like, Toronto. I'm just a big fan. Appreciate all the help on the podcast, like just listening to you. And I just told him, like, you're great. And I can't wait to hear you speak tomorrow. And he's like, hey, man, if you're here, it's a whole thing. And that's one of the big things when you're starting out. It's like, can you get to those places?
Yes.
And those people, they're all successful, but they're successful because they have a balance, right? Being a degenerate. And it's funny. So Scott, the next day at his talk, he's like, man, he's like, all these people just trying to give me drinks and stuff. He's like, I just want to chill. And then he's like, oh, somebody gave me some chocolates. And then Scott's like, in his speech, and he's a savage, he was like clowning Richard Branson on his own own thing. He's so funny. And he goes to me, and he goes to the audience, and he's like, listen, somebody gave me shrooms that night. And so he's like, I was just feeling the best when I got back to my cabin. So I'm like, oh shit, he was on shrooms, I was drunk, and I was like, and we're just dapping each other. I'm like, this is the coolest shit ever. So it's there's an app too that we could talk, and he like, the dude messaged me back. He's like, hey man, great to meet you. Like, super cool guy. And Scott knows how to party too. And all these people, it's like, what's the balance? So like,
Scott's like, I've listened to a lot of his podcast, and he's telling like, because maybe I don't know if you know him, but he has a big cause for young men. Like,
huge.
Don't get along. His words saying like, the worst people on earth are idle young men.
Correct.
So
go out there.
Go party. So he speak what he's telling.
Exactly. And he does it.
Follow his Babin.
Exactly. Yeah. Je comprends.
So I love him. I love what he worked for, and there's always something that fascinates me about him. Is his podcast is a public celebrity, and he's talking about something like a lot of people may not talk about, but he's always doing a creepy joke at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
like the worst joke ever about penis or
it's like dad jokey but a good hook. You know what I mean?
Like people listen, but I'm always laughing. Like,
yeah, it's funny, but like
feeling mad for a person in front of him because I'm like would be so not malaise, but
awkward. Yeah.
So
no, he's cool, but that's the big thing I think. Again, when you're starting out, right? Successful degenerates also take those chances to go out and have fun, right? But I would say 85% of all my network is because I went out and had fun. And I met some of the craziest people. So, for example, we have a bunch of arenas down there. We have Budweiser Stadium. And I was just like, I was drunk. I was like, again, drink responsibly, everyone. But I was like in this photo booth, and then, the girl I was with was like, they're taking pictures, whatever. And I come out, and this guy looks at me, he's like, what's up? And I'm like, all right, what's up, man? And he's like, just ends up being the head of Budweiser's like stage management. Wow. And he's like the coolest guy. And he's like, yo, man, whenever you're, at Budweiser, I'll hook it up, don't worry. I'm like, I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, everybody likes to say these
But
things.
he know you, or?
No, we just fucking hung out. And we're just like, yo, what's up? You cool? I'm cool. And that's it. Like, that was the craziest one. And then all of a sudden, I'm at Janet Jackson. And I got the shit seats. Like, we call it the lawn. And you have to go in, it's like way back. Because I'm like, Janet Jackson's going to be so expensive. I just want to go to say I saw Janet Jackson, like Michael Jackson's sister. So I go, he's like, yo, you're in my area? You're in my workplace? I'm like, yeah. It's like, don't worry, I'll hook it up. And then he hooked it up. And I'm like, put me in like this VIP little situation. I was like, all right. But like, that's, the whole point is that you meet these people going out, for example. And then I was out another time and I met some of my closest friends who ended up being like, I can't like mention all these names, but like some like big celebrities just because I was genuinely myself. So I think a lot of like comments in that successful degenerate post were like, oh, you're going to be like burnt out and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, if you do it wrong. Yeah, you got to sleep. Everybody's like, I'm like, you think I don't sleep? Degenerates love to sleep. We love to sleep. But it's also, yeah, right? But if you're up and you're like partying, at least make it productive partying. Like if you're out, you're going to meet people. And most successful people love to live life. The people who don't love to live life are so poor, even if you have a lot of money. And the people that are living, man, you gotta go.
That's exactly what we were saying when we were doing the driving from Montreal to Toronto. Like we were doing all type of stuff. We stopped at the Canadian Tire. Anyways, so what we were saying is,
what happened at Canadian Tire?
So what I was saying in the car is like, there's life experience is so much important. Like we're so young and we have so much to live, so there's no negative impact that like doing this, like it might not work, it might work, but that's something you can tell your kids, and just live stuff and experience different stuff and live lives from different angles. And I think that's what makes life
exactly. But you never know where this is gonna go. You call this life. Make it a sound. You're gonna put it like in the Hope Core, like Hope Core edit. It's very true because you don't know where this is gonna go. Like I did so much shit in my life. Like, hey, Red Label, I was taking pictures of my friends, and then FBI. You know what I mean? Like NASA, and then like working with Nike, and like just crazy things. Like I remember after COVID or during COVID, people were like, "Are you good? Business is tough, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, bitch, I'm making money. And I felt bad because I was just like, they're like, oh, it's so hard. I'm like, yeah. Go to Europe. Like, I went to Europe, bro. Like, I fucked off for like 6 months because I was like, we like did really well. And like tech companies were doing really well. So they needed film. They needed ads. So like the more ads you were getting and the more money they were making, the more we were making. That was a great time. But we had no idea that's where it would lead us. And I think you meet some of the crazy. So funny enough, Red Label is what led me to meet Michelle Romano from Dragon's Den, because I was just filming stuff for her. But when I went on Dragon's Den 2, she knew me from there. So like that relationship got created. So whenever you're doing, it might feel random, but it's all going to align like later on. You just don't know it yet. Like that small thing you did for somebody is going to hit you up later, and they're going to be like probably your first investor.
Yes.
My first person that wanted to invest in me, I didn't take her money because I was like, I think I was around, it's like 20, shit, I was like 19, 20 around there. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with your money. And I'm just like, I'm not going to take it because I don't want to ruin this relationship I have with you. And it was like, she's going to offer like 13 grand. It's a lot for me. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm not going to take it. I need time to learn. And that's what I would give my advice to all of you, is that learn from everybody that made mistakes. And we, like, so many people have made mistakes, and you just need to know that that's part of the journey. Making the shitty mistakes, the worst, like, fuck, y'all might not be friends. I'm being so real with you right now. Y'all might not be friends like 3 years later from now. Somebody might fuck somebody over or whatever, and you just gotta shake it off, because like that's what happened. I've been in like the original founder. We were good, and we're still good right now. It's just he wasn't ready for entrepreneurship, and he's like, he didn't want that, and that's totally fair, right? Some people don't want the grind of like staying up 12 hours to finish a product, or going partying late night and then like having 3 hours of sleep and making half the amount of pay what you could do at a 9 to 5. Like, it's crazy. Entrepreneurship is fucked, but you have to really love what you're doing. And if the people on your team need to love it too, yes. That's it. So you just got to be so clear with everybody and be like, what do you define success as? Does success mean a lot of money? Does success mean a cool ass client? Does success mean bitches? Like, like, and I remember oh my god, I was out, and when the dude, and we don't even talk anymore, he goes like, we got like a villa in Lisbon because there was a conference we got invited to. I spent some like money to, you know, take my really close friends with me, right, who were also on film, so they were helping, you know, document, to assist me when I was doing my talk and all this stuff. One guy goes like, yo, congrats, because there was like he brought girls. I don't do that shit. This was the grossest thing to me. So we're out, and he's like, yo, my boss has a villa. I'm like, don't fucking say that, bro. Like, it's cringy. And then they came, and you know, they all go to me, they're like, oh, we're making brunch for this crew of people. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. I'm like, y'all can make their brunch. I'm like, I'm not paying for that either. I'm like, you invited them. And it was nice, right? They ended up being really good friends of mine later on. But he goes to me, he's like, yo, congrats. Because it's like, we're looking over the ocean, we're in this cool villa, blah, blah. I'm like, this don't mean shit. Yeah. This don't mean shit.
What success mean for you?
Success means for me is that I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm like financially stable. Yeah. That's it. Like, personally, obviously everybody would love $100, $200, $500 million. You know, I have a goal of mine, you know, what to make and exit with. But I know so many people with tons of money, like stupid money, like island money, but they're so sad. Yeah. You know, like, and no amount of therapy from even Sigmund Freud himself, raised from the dead, can give you happiness. And so if you have that perfect balance of like, I can go and live my life and just enjoy myself and then be sufficient and love the people around me, then I'm good. Because when you guys are when you all do well, and I promise you will do well if you continue being consistent, you're gonna have a lot of like dick riders, and you're gonna have a lot of fake ass people around you. And you know what? You won't know. And there'll be a lot of women, guys, whatever you like. At the end of the day, people are gonna try to come for you and like take your aura. And I've been around so many people. You just gotta really learn. You're gonna learn over time who those real people are. But that was one of the biggest learning pieces I got, which is, who am I letting in my circle? What does success mean for me and my team? And how to be happy. And happiness is like, man, it takes time. I'm just getting there. So
you have so many projects. So how did you take the time to like not get depressed about all this project?
Who says I'm not depressed, bro? I've been through therapy. Like, okay, one thing about, if you're gonna tackle a lot, is being organized, but also doing small things and accomplishing those small things in pieces. So for example, let's say alcohol business, production company, let's say you all were doing that all at the same time. Schedule out parts of the week for, you know, each piece. For me, I was doing Red Label, I had a podcast company, and then I had Stagekeep. Crazy, right? And I'm like, how do we do it? So I am only one person. So what I would do is like, okay, Red Label people, I'm gonna delegate. You know, and delegating is the battle here. So, you know, you bring somebody to manage that company, somebody to manage that company, and then you manage the other one, and you just divide your time equally. So one thing is, go on GPT and talk about all your tasks and be like, hey, how do I, like, you know, survive this? And it will actually help you out. But that's what I used to do, is just, you have to do small pieces at a time and increment. And a lot of people did not like when I did that. They're like, oh, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. Yeah, there was a point where I was doing too much. I remember I scaled back to one thing. Damn, I was never so broke. I was like, oh, this is awful. I'm like, no, too much. Because like I was like, so for example, Red Label was like my big money maker, right? I was doing like lots of production, like big budgets, and then Stagekeep was just scaling, right? So like tech takes time. You have to like go ahead and like get it out there, marketing. Just because you have a tech company doesn't mean you're a millionaire. You're rich in like valuation, very rich in valuation, but you know, to liquid, it's whatever, right? You have to wait for that, but you have to do it in pieces. So I had Red Label like with a lot of contractors, and then just somebody who I trusted to take over. The podcast company, I was like really hands off, you know, from that. I built my team properly, and anybody, okay, this was the worst thing I hated at that point. So I got criticism for not doing enough because I built my team well. Let me tell you, it's bullshit. That's bullshit, because he was just pissed off that like I built my team well, right? My department was running on its own. I'm like, yo, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
like,
you can't
no,
company runs without
yeah, that's why, you know, the smart people are playing golf well, you know, and they're like enjoying their life, and that's what you have to do. You have to build a team to do those things and run it. I'm not going to be hands-on all the time, and that's not the goal later on. So as much as you love this hustle too, make sure you're delegating like when you get to that stage, so you can focus on the bigger things, like especially in production too, because it can't be all everything. You have to get some PAs, but everybody loves to learn. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Yeah,
But you said like at some point your video production was your biggest income, and how would you say like we saw what you did, and when you do videos for a client, you need to represent the vision the clients have for like their products, whatever. How would you say you different yourself from other production company, like when you need to do what the clients like vision?
Yeah, totally. No, I totally get it. Yeah, like so having a differentiation obviously in business is always the best thing you can do, because everybody's like, I have a camera and a vision. I luckily built a reputation with the right clients, right? So if you're starting in video production, one of the big things I would recommend is like eating shit for a bit. Like get a really good client. And when Michelle was my client for Clearco, and also having connections in the industry, Michelle, when she put my videos out, everybody's like, who did this? And I just worked my ass off to make sure it was good, because people had a lot of eyes on her. So there's one, that's how I differentiate. And number two, or got in the industry. And then number two, my mentor, Jerome Cruin, he's like a big director down here. He worked with like Director X and like Drake's directors and all that. And they like brought me in to learn about commercial industry. So I already had an in that way. So what did I offer that was different from everybody else was I was the tech guy that did video. That's it. So that's why it was perfect for things like Clearco or Vidyard that I did stuff for. And all these other companies were like, well, you're trusted by these big corps, we're going to use you. And then you just keep on going and pushing that way. So I always did this in my sales calls. I'm like, I will make your product sexy. I'm like, your product's boring, but I can make it sexy. They're like, how? I'm like, well, here's the pitch. And then you give them this beautiful presentation, you give them a show, and then they're like, all right, let's do it. And then you negotiate from there. But that's it, man.
Yeah, but you said making a show. We saw your presentation.
Your presentation, and then you make a dance with your crew.
Oh yeah. Oh, the TED Talk, the TEDx. Yeah. Well, that's what you got. Man, everybody loves flash and flare. Like we're all simple beings. Like humans are like, oh shit.
I think that's what make you stand out, because you know I've listened to a lot of TED Talk because I love this type of content, and you know. We've listened a lot of time to your videos.
Thank you.
To learn and everything.
Yeah.
But if I listen one time, I'm sure that I will remember because I've seen the dance.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's how people may have remember you or.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, even if I wasn't dancing, it's like there's something each of us have that are very genuine, right? I don't know what it is about all of you, but it's putting yourself and your personality into whatever you're doing, so it's memorable. It's just being you. Like I love to dance. And somebody told me, they're like, oh, you shouldn't be dancing on stage. I'm like, fuck that. That got me my first investment. That got me like $125K, like for dancing on stage. The reason why that got me money was because somebody was like, oh, that's cool. That's entertaining. And you look like you're a fun time. Let's have a conversation. And it was funny enough, in that conference, I did dance, and then I did that presentation at in Toronto that I was dancing at. it was the head of Techstars, which is a accelerator. So they do tech. They also do, non-tech as well. So you should probably check them out. They did like Fable. I don't know if you heard it. It's like a ceramics company for like indoor houseware and stuff like that. So maybe both of your events, your companies and ventures might be helpful. But that accelerator, they saw me and they wouldn't have noticed me if I didn't take that chance. Yeah, so that's it.
And do you think like dance is a sport like every other one, but would you say like discipline in your sport in what you did help you in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, because honestly, having Asian parents.
Yeah, we see the dead we were laughing.
I'm gonna be real. The dance wasn't that. It was having a tiger mom, and honestly, whatever race, culture you have, I know there's parents are on your ass sometimes, right? Yeah. And one thing I learned really well is like I was like doing a lot of like so stereotypical, but like a lot of math. Like I was doing like Kumon, and that was like after school stuff. Okay. And anyways, that discipline of like practicing acting, singing, and dance, as well as like after school stuff, all combined. Yes. So dance did contribute, but it was definitely much more the fact that I had a pretty strict upbringing in a good way. They let me live my life, but it was the ability to know that I have to drill stuff and then keep practicing. Like talent can get you only to a specific part of your life. Yes. If you don't drill all day long on your craft, then you cannot. It's like Kobe, right? Kobe had a shit jump shot, right? But he's like, I got to work on it. Basketball people, please don't quote me on that. I don't know. Gotta make sure that's true. But he spoke about that in his interviews where he's like, hey man, he's like, I wasn't good in these parts, so I have to work on it. So having that discipline of day in, day out. I'm also be very honest with you. I am not that founder that's waking up at, I did today at like 4:30 and going to, I did do that, but that's because of jet lag. But I'm not like every day like, oh, what's up, brother? It's 5 a.m. Like rise and shine. Like fuck that. I hate that shit. Go and wake up.
Perfect routine.
Exactly. It does. There's no perfect routine. And then the people that are saying it, I'm like, you're a liar, because like life happens. Sometimes you're tired and whatever, and like that's okay. But you have to get up at some point. You have to get up and keep moving. I don't care if you're working at like 5 a.m. You wake up at 9. I know plenty of people that wake up at 9 a.m. doing great numbers at their company. That you waking up earlier doesn't define you being better and having more success. So yeah, sorry I went off track.
And tell us more about Stagekeep.
Yeah,
I see that the NBA and NFL using it. That's awesome.
Oh, we're gonna get into the juice about that one. I told him on the way up I have a little of a surprise. So okay, Stagekeep that's like my baby, and I kind of saw this problem when I was a dancer, and I was like dancing for a lot of people, and it's just like, we're using coins to figure out positions of where people are, and I'm like, this is stupid, or like we put a shoe down, and we have to map it all in our heads, and the more you use your head is okay. But Confucius had this quote where Confucius said, the best memory is no match for, and again, don't quote me, but the lightest pen is better than the best memory, right? If you can write shit down, it's there for time, right? Depending on like if you light it up and it's gone. But that was the whole idea behind it. So Stagekeep was something. My University of Toronto I was alum from U of T, and I was like sleeping in class at like media studies. I was like, but my professor, shout out to Greg Graffam, he hit me and he's like, I told him about my ideas. Like, you got to do this, and he like literally would not stop. And I personally think like when you're in college or university, there's always one professor that's gonna like change your path, and that dude was it for me. And he's like, you have to do this, join the accelerator at the school. And it was this hub where I met so many great people. I met the original co-founder, and we just had the best time learning and understanding entrepreneurship. But those guys stayed up for me till like 2 a.m. practicing my pitch, how to like figure out how money goes, how much I should price things, etc. So Stagekeep has been really close to my heart because I was being a professional dancer as well as a computer scientist. I kind of mixed the two passions together, and man, it's been a ride. When the Raptors used it during the championships,
that's awesome.
Lost it, man. I was like, what? And then like they saw me off of a Facebook ad from U of T.
Wow.
And it was the most random message. I was like, who is this? She's like, hi, my name's Amberly Caroli. I'm from the Raptors. Da 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 da. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. And like, yo, man. Everything that went wrong.
Yeah, so that's the
classic.
Mark Twain, you know,
exactly.
If something can go wrong,
it went wrong. So she's like, oh, come onto the court. So we're in like Scotiabank Arena, and like it's just like, you know, no practice is happening, whatever. But like I saw the guys, like some of the Raptors, like walk in front of me. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, you're so tall. I'm like, and like, this is so cool. She's like, well, how do I use it? Can you install it on my iPad? And just like, it wasn't working. I was like. And the problem was, it wasn't even like a code problem, it was the damn cable. And I said to somebody, I'm like, you go and get a fucking cable right now. You run and get a cable. And they ran. I'm like, get that cable. And when I got that cable, it worked. I'm like, okay.
Everything's good.
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, here's the deal. And this is one thing too about where the business got successful is we made a deal where obviously it's the NBA. You can they have a lot of money, but for our specific industry, they don't. Like, some of those like performers are only getting like $60 a game. Wow. Fucked up, right? Fucked up. You watch that Dallas Cowboys thing on Netflix, like where's it, the cheerleaders?
Yes.
Everything. They're working a second job, right? And it's just a lot of investors also didn't understand that. They're like, oh, NBA has billions of dollars, and like you should be able to get this from your pricing. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You know your industry best. So when you are speaking to people and advisors, whether it's myself or other people, you know. Fuck, if it's Jeff Bezos himself, his advice might not be right because it doesn't work for you. So just always be weary of, just because they're successful and have a lot of money, that advice might not be right for you. So that's one thing we learned. So, but one thing I did right with the Raptors was like, hey, have it for free. Here's what we'll do for the championships. I'm like, I want an exchange to put my logo on the Jumbotron when you come out. They're like, done. I was like, perfect. Wow. So the clout I got was crazy. I was just like, I don't know about y'all, but your logo on the Jumbotron? I'm like, I don't think so. And then, but that was helpful for, you know, pitching to investors. They're like, wow, that's so cool. You know, you were there for the championships, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what helped us get a name. And that was for the brand. And that's what all my advisors at UFT were like, hey, just get the logo. Just get the logo. And the logo is like a huge battle because logos in terms of customers are your brand recognition, your trust, as well as a testimonial that you have worked with this person. So then, you know, you see so many other companies and like, oh, you worked with Nike, you must be good. Yeah. Right? So like that's what I was trying to do. So with the NFL, like NFL was crazy. I was in a call, and I think it was the Dallas Cowboys, and she goes, oh honey, we use you already. And I'm like, what? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, hold on, we need to charge more. Yeah, so I was like, I need to rebuild the app. And I rebuilt it because it was like an iPad. It was like a shitty iPad app. Like, it would not run on that. Like, no way. And it was like built on Unity. It was a whole thing. So I was like, I got to destroy this thing and like rebuild it from. So that's why I went to investors. I'm like, all right, we can make some money, but I got to rebuild this thing from ground up. And they're like, cool. So they gave me some money and then we rebuilt it. And, you know, today we're just like obviously still pushing and like getting it out there because marketing, right? It's this big part. And my friend was able to show me like some of the plans before. And I was like, oh shit, you're still putting this on paper? This is ridiculous. Like, how are you transferring it? You're taking a picture and sending it to like the production team, to the pyro guys, to like the lighting. Like, this is so archaic. I'm like, why don't you just put it on our platform? But then I got that call and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
great
this
fucking
is it. Yeah. So I was like, this is, and I remember, and again, Michelle from Dragons, and I hit her up. I'm like, oh fuck, I need help. I don't know what to do. So I messaged her. She gave me the most like Coach Carter ass speech. She was like,
did we spear?
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Hold on. It's worth reading. And she's like, cause she's like a hard ass, and that's why she's so good at what she does.
You're next on the podcast.
Yo. She goes, oh fuck, where is it? All right. She's like, hey, Michelle, I need some savage/sage advice if you have the time. Any advice on how I should use this whole thing? I've been waiting for this call for a while. She goes, yes. She's like, don't be difficult. Do not try and make a ton of money on this. Close the deal and use all the press to catapult your company. I'm like, bet. And I'm like, I'm getting hyped up, right? And she's like, you could easily lose the deal at this point. They probably messaged a bunch of people. I'm like, you're right, Michelle. You're right, big sister. She goes, Yes, get all their cell phones, be their best friend and the easiest person to work with. Do not optimize this for your benefit right now. This is a huge win if you can get it, but it's not yours now. It's yours to lose. And like lose was in capital letters. Wow. I was like, girl, I was like, yo, I'm hyped up. I'm hyped the fuck up. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So, you know, and then I just took her advice. I'm like, I've just been a very courteous person to them. I'm like, hey, do you need anything? Can I be there for you? I'm like, is there any extra features? And they're like, oh, we're good. Actually, could you do this? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I check in once in a while. It's like just good customer service and just showing that you're there. So when I was at Collision, one of the craziest things I ever did was I saw Timbaland, you know, the producer, and then when he spoke, and I was just like, oh shit. I'm like, I gotta show this guy the app. And then I ran to him during this Q&A. I was like, I don't know what to do. My boy goes, I'll film you. Like, whatever happens. I asked the question. I'm like, yo, Timbaland. I'm like, you're a big inspiration to a lot of, you know, dancers out there. I'm like, can I show you my app? And when I showed him it was just his words that he said. He was like, he's like, you made that? I was like, yeah. And he goes, yo, that is genius. And I'm like, yo, I can die now. He called me genius. Like, I was just like, yo, I capped. Listen, I doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on that thing because, like, of course. I think one of the big problems too is like, especially like on the come up as like young guys, I think social media, everybody's like, oh, I'm being mysterious and cool and shit. Fuck that. Like when it comes to your business, you have to scream that thing because you got to show how passionate you are, but you got to scream so hard. Like I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm trying to be cool and like low key. I'm like, that's not gonna get you money. That's not gonna get you. You do be yourself, be authentic, but also be proud of what you're doing. Yeah.
I think personally, people love more the product if they know that you struggle like everybody else. You're not superhuman because you run a business. You're just like me. I'm just like you.
Exactly.
Showing your vulnerability is the best thing to have a new customer and everything else.
So they can be like you.
Exactly. It's just relatability. It's just like, yo, we're all not like Elon Musk. We're all not like that guy or Jeff Bezos. Like they're the most unrelatable people, except for Elon. He's kind of like weird, and I'm like, oh, you're kind of weird. Like,
not alert until you purchase.
Exactly. Oh my God, everything was great. I was like, oh cool, like Tesla. You had to fuck it up, and it's just like, oh, this sucks now. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Right now, like we were saying, Elon Musk, like he made right now his public opinion is how would you say like personal branding is
it's a great question.
Develop yourself and your businesses.
It's huge. That's why I started putting more reels out. The only reason I didn't put more is because I was in Philippines and I'm like, the service down there with Wi-Fi was rough to download stuff. So I have a couple more coming out, but personal brand's huge because I think you can see on like socials, we all connect with a personal brand, right? Like there's this one girl on TikTok, she's so good, Strawberry Milk Mob. I don't know if you've seen this girl.
Oh yeah, she does a cute girl thing.
Yeah, she's like, you know what I like about boys? Like, you know what I like about boys? But she runs a swimwear company and she got like 40, like the followers are crazy stupid, but she's just talking about being herself and like things that girls like and whatever. So I think when you're doing personal brand, it's extremely important to also make sure you're catering to your customers as well. Like for me, I'm a dancer. I'm always gonna say I'm a dancer, and I'm gonna always make sure that they know that I know their problems and that I've been through the trenches. That like money shit, you know, we get tired, you know, we need more support, and exposure dollars can't pay my bills. Like those are the things they relate to. So when you are speaking to your customers, just like be authentically you. Like you know what they want and you know their struggles the most. So like if you can like have empathy for them, they will understand you more and they most likely will be towards you. But yeah, personal brand's huge, man. Like it saves you in businesses. So let's say you have a big board who have a lot of control. If your personal brand's tied so much to the business, they can't kick you out, right? Or it's going to be really, really hard because if your face, you know, is removed, then the value of that company just plummets. Yeah.
Generally, the marketing is shifting to personal brand and brand hero.
Exactly.
With social media, social media, like you don't need to pay billions of dollars to have a ad running on TV.
Exactly.
You just need to gain like thousands of followers on Instagram, and now you are a new business people and people. I don't know. In Quebec, we have a big alcohol brands called Beach Day. And they don't do pubs, they don't do ads. They only post on social media, and they have like 9,000 followers.
Well, because all our eyes are on our phones, right? It's like I'm not looking at I'm barely looking at billboards anymore. And like, what does that do? Like, you know, it's hard. I used to work for. It costs a lot.
TV, like nobody have the cable anymore.
No.
You can fix YouTube. You can pay to have no ads.
Yeah, well,
People don't watch ads.
exactly. A lot of people there's this one thing, it was like an aggregator for ads that would go on TV. I'm like, still, this doesn't help. I used to work at a billboard company, actually. Yeah, it was called Media Resources, actually about 40 minutes that way. And one of the things I always ask them, like, how do you get metrics? Like, how do you get eyes? And they're like, oh, you know, we're looking at this later on. I'm like, so nobody really has eyes on these? Like, you just have a guesstimated number. So people are paying so much money for just this big, I think it's an ego trip, in my opinion, when you have like a big billboard where it's like, oh, it's cool, it's big. But I'm like,
It's business expenses too.
exactly, yeah, there's a business expense, they want to spend the money or whatever. And it's just like, especially for the big corps, right? The Fortune 5, it doesn't matter to them, right? It's just like, oh, I need more eyes. But for like the startups of the world, the mid-size, get on your phone, like, I think reality TV like type of content is gonna be the winner. Like, there's this one brand called Alexis Bitar, and they use like, their branding is almost like a reality TV show of like this like bougie New Yorker socialite, and then they want a Webby off of it. So they're spending low cost, but they're having like cool cameos, but it feels like a TV show, so you want to watch more. Loewe is also a great example for marketing. Like, they're an old company, but whoever's on their marketing team, A1. The Gen Zs, they're doing the craziest shit. They're like popping balloons and like milks on people's faces and like throwing paper at stuff. Like, it's just like content, you know, people love on TikTok. So yeah.
And people are getting older, so like people who are watching TV are like less and less
Going to die.
Yeah. Well, exactly. They're gonna die. But it's also like where they're living, right? There's Facebook. A lot of people in Asia are on Facebook. Like, it's huge. But Reels, like, for example, when you found me off of that Reel, I was like, all right, because a speaker agent hit me up down here. They're like, oh, we want to sign you as a speaker. I'm like, oh, sick. So I was like, I better increase my social media following, whatever. And that's why Reels really works. And Reels, like, that shit got 530, something around there, something there. Yeah, and it was just like, but it grew my account like crazy. So that's what I would suggest to people if you're trying to grow. You know, a lot of businesses still interact on IG more than TikTok. TikTok is like still coming up, and you can do really well with ads on there. Like, I paid an ad for Stagekeep on TikTok, and this is pretty much a promo for TikTok, but I paid $10 a day for like 2 weeks. So was that like 7, 14, $140. $140 got me 500,000 views, and I think it increased my sign up by double on Stagekeep. And it was nuts. I seen the Spike did this. Boom. I got spikes
Only on TikTok?
only on TikTok, and one video. And it's just like, all I did was I boosted awareness. I'll find out exactly what I did, but what I did was just have it so it's reached out to more people. That's all it did. No promo, no sign up, no nothing. And all I did was like, I put my link in there, but people would click, and I would get tons of hits on my website from that. But that was where they're like, what app is this? What app is this? What app is this? I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. I spent $140 rather than like a $50 or $1 million campaign for nothing. So people don't realize that you can do a lot with a little.
Yeah. You just gotta create it.
Exactly.
Purple cow.
Take the purple cow. See?
But you said you had a spike with, for example, TikTok ads. Did you had a big spike when you were growing your businesses, or was it like more slow and steady upcoming?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, and it's different for everybody. For Stagekeep, it was like this. It's like slow and steady because it's down to marketing, and like, I would say our technology is really ahead of our time because most people just do this shit in their heads. Yep. But now, as like the younger generations are coming up and getting into these positions, they're like, oh no, I have like an app for this, or like I can just go on a website to do this thing for me. They're being smarter. So that's what I'm seeing right now, and we're having like a gradual spike with Red Label, with production. That's a weird one. It's also seasonal. Yep. If you think about it, right? It's like, depending on what you're in. If you're going for e-commerce and commercials, your October, November is fucked. Like, it's fucked because everybody wants to do Black Friday, Christmas deals, everything. So you're like making ads like crazy. So it could do a lot of this, but it also depends on what money's like in the industry. So right now, the tech industry is pretty cutting costs like crazy all around, right? A lot of layoffs, A lot of cuts in marketing. It's slowly going up. I saw I forget who was, it was Mr. Beast's manager or agent, put out a newsletter on LinkedIn, and he said Q4, which is what we're in right now, is going to be better for production budgets, which is actually very true. And I noticed it. I was like, oh shit, we're getting much more. But Q1, 2, 3 were dry because it was things about like, you know, it was the actor strikes and stuff like that. So you have to really be aware of your industry and what's happening in it, because it will affect your revenue. And going back to, remember I was like, oh, I got a bunch of businesses, how do you handle everything? Is because I had specific heights and lows for one, so I could kind of manage both. But one thing why this was good, because I was like, when I just focused on one, I was like losing money, is the fact that if you have multiple sources of income, then you're good, right? Yeah. For example, pandemic, Stagekeep was awful because there's no entertainment happening, right? Nobody's dancing. So I'm like, all right, I know I'm gonna lose a shit ton of subscribers and people. But then Red Label went kaboom. So I personally don't think it's bad to have different industries and multiple lines of business, because of now that because of COVID happened, it's just perfect evidence to show that nobody's safe. Yeah. Nobody's safe. But yeah.
You've been recognized by the Forbes Under 30 magazine.
Oh yeah, that was
the experience. I mean, I think it's a
boys. Let me tell you,
accomplishment for a young entrepreneur.
Let me tell you about the 30 Under 30 conferences.
That's insane.
Those conferences are nuts. Shout out to Steve Matroni. He's the editor, the tech editor down there, and he hit me up on like email. So random too. I think that was a Detroit one, and he's like, hey, seen what you're doing, would you like to come to our conference? I'm like, sure. I'm like, Forbes? I'm like, all right, this is cool. And Forbes is it's a crazy thing. And you meet some of the craziest people. So like, if I would absolutely suggest you go to the Forbes 30 Under 30 conference, you would have
it's free,
now everybody can go. It used to be like invite only type of thing, but you just have to pay. But what I would suggest is like, especially when you're starting your businesses, like be good with the media, because people like, you know, good press and stuff like this, which is good. But they saw us probably from maybe stuff with the Raptors or whatever, and then he's like, yo, Axel, do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, it's 90% off for you. I'm like, pay $10 or whatever the hell it was. So I went and I met crazy people, and that, like, you know, back to Successful Degenerates, bro, I didn't eat for like 2 days, 3 days maybe. I forgot to eat because I was just like, I had meetings in the morning, 6 a.m. with Techstars, all the way to like 10 a.m. So just like back-to-back meetings, 4 hours. I was falling asleep through them because I was like, no, not all of them. I was just like, it was like more conference-y type calls. I was like, I'm gonna die. But I had to do work, I had to catch up on emails, and then you go right to the conference. Like Hailey Bieber was there. I was like, this is crazy. And then we're just, you know, watching everything happen, and then you party. Yo, I saw a dude. This dude was so drunk. He goes to like what is this, like a Sprinter? It was like a Sprinter, Mercedes Sprinter. And he tried to buy it from the guy on the street. He's like, I'll buy it right now. And I'm dying. I'm like, what? And he was wasted, and it was so funny. Like everybody there's so much, like we're all just letting off steam. Like just because you're drunk, like doesn't mean you're anything less or whatever. It's just, you know, there's a time and the place, and that was a safe space, and we're all safe. Like I remember I saw another guy, he like, I think from like all the way where you are, maybe further back all the way to you, he lined up shots like back to back. And I'm like, that's gonna be a lot of money. I knew that was gonna be a lot of money. I told him like, are you sure you want to do this? He whipped out the black card and threw it on the table. I'm like, run it. So, you know, you meet some really cool people there, but they know how to balance it. And like, that's just the key to doing it. But I met some of the coolest, like, I think the last one I went to was in Cleveland, the 30 Under 30 conference, and you meet like, I met like people from Rock Nation there, and like people from like Amazon Music, and like huge people, but they're all just enjoying their lives, and that's what they want to do. They just want to party with like-minded people who are successful. Majority of them are all very pretty people too, which is, you know, that doesn't hurt. And everybody just had a good time. So when you are being a successful degenerate, you just got to do it with the idea and the intention that you're there to have a good time, you're being safe, but at the same time, be genuine and talk about, you know, what you're doing. If there's one tip also I can give is, don't ask people, what do you do? It's like the ugliest. Personally, I think it's like the ugliest thing because it's like it's so transactional. It's like, yo, bro, what do you do? Fuck that. It's more like, and as cheesy as it sounds, I always go, so what do you love to do?
Yeah.
And that actually throws people off because they go,
Yeah, that's a tough question.
yeah, it's okay. Wait, what do you love to do?
Yeah, if I'm on the spot right now, I think what I love to do is, you know, I love seeing new people. I love seeing new things.
Cool.
I think I'm a really curious guy. You know, like you pitch me a subject or a project, I'll study it. I was like, that's my new idea. That's my new buzz. So that's why I love, you know, the podcast. That's why I love Memories, because it's all about seeing new people and connecting with new people. So that's one of the things that I love, and I love to jump in this, you know, not always like they say be uncomfortable, but for me going something new, it's like, let's do it.
It feels good.
It's so good. So that's maybe what I love the
Okay,
most.
I like it. Your turn. We're gonna go around the room.
I love what I love.
Be honest. Learning. Okay.
I think learning, like in every aspect of my life. So, example, when I was a kid, at Christmas, my parents give me like a guitar, and I wasn't liking the guitar, but I was like, well, fuck it, I will try it.
Yeah.
And I will try it, and when I fall in love, because I was fucking trash. But
That's where you start.
yeah, but I learned.
It's pretty good.
And I play rock, I play country,
Sick.
I play like little music, like piano.
Okay.
And after I learned piano, I learned ukulele.
Yeah.
I learned many things, but like in music. But
Yeah.
I like to learn a new language.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Cool.
Because I'm not very good in English, like you see. But,
It's good.
but I learn it, so
It's way better than
I think
I love that it's the day you start, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying.
Facts.
I love.
so. I
Facts.
love learning.
I love that.
Like-
that's great. I want to comment on everybody's, but I want to go yours
Yeah.
finally.
So I'd say I love building skills.
Cool.
So trying like a bit like them, but building new skills and getting good at it. So we're all retired football players.
Oh shit.
So
You know what? That makes sense.
So I stopped because of injuries, and when I grew up, I was always like, oh, I'm a sports guy. I don't know shit about art.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, like I was giving my project to girls, and they was doing it, and I was really bad at art and wasn't creative at all. So when I started videography, I discovered that I was kind of good at it. I had some kind of talent, and I'm still learning and I'm still getting better. But I feel like it's so. I feel so proud of myself when I want to do this effect. I saw it in a video. I'm doing it, and it looks good. And like getting better is getting me a lot of fulfillment.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. Okay, so I really love you. Sneaky, how you put memories right in. A little too quick. I would actually like draw that in a little more, because you went right for the like, here's why the business is good. But I mean, I know in our context that's fine. I really like what you both did though, because it was very emotional, especially yours, because it was like, oh, I'm trying to like learn and I was shit and blah blah. Being human when you introduce yourself to people, especially people of massive amounts of success, because they've seen it all. They've seen everything. They've heard it all. They've heard all the bullshit. They can spot a transactional conversation a mile away. But if you lead first with your like heart, or like something that is hard to tell, which is like maybe something like you said, I was like, I was shit, and that resonates so well with them because they were shit too. They understand struggle because they didn't get there by just like existing. They went there because they worked their ass off and they had to struggle. So if you're able to share something personal that you're comfortable with to somebody, and if you're meeting somebody like, again, really, of big success, that's going to be much more fulfilling to them and memorable to them. They will remember you for time because they're like, oh. And then they'll be like, so what do you do after? And then that's what connects. But if you're going to build that relationship, just be a person. Stop being a like business person first. Just be you. And that's what's going to connect you. And that's what's going to make you win so much more. Yeah.
Thanks for the advice, Lou.
Got you. No worries. No worries.
We talked about your businesses. fours, big things coming in February. You know, or you will.
Yeah, you should.
We'll see. What
Thank you.
To conclude, would you say you made it?
No, not yet. Yeah. Do you know what? Great question. So, did I make it?
Like, if you die tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I made it. Hell yeah. I made it. I've had the craziest experiences in my life. Like, so much fun. And I think that's something, you know, I really owe to my parents, that I was able to learn how to live life just by like enjoying it. Like, it's really easy to not enjoy life because there's really awful things happening. But if you're able to flip that switch and just enjoy your experiences, make the best out of a crappy situation, like you guys in the morning were dealing with so much, you know, but you're here because
awesome. The side quest.
Exactly, side quests. It's just small things. But yeah, man, if I died tomorrow, hell yeah, I had the best time. I've done so much, and I've like loved so much. I've cried so much. I've like gotten mad. I've screamed to the top. I've been happy. I've seen money. I've lost money. I got more money. Like, I've done it all, and I'm very content with my life. And I know there's not many people that can actually say that. So yeah, I think so.
If you can like change something in your past, would you do it?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's changed. It's more like, okay, do you know what? No, technically, I would be like, everything as is was amazing. But if I were to give my advice, I kind of heard it as, sorry, a different question in my head. But if I were to give advice to myself back then, is to just like tell myself to not worry as much. Yeah. You know, that just keep going. Because like, it's okay, it's going to get better. Trust me, it's going to get better. Because we often listen to that shitty part in our head that makes us want to be like, yo, fuck all this. Like, I'm tired. I'm done. Whatever. I'm like, and I wanted to say this on your podcast because I think it's like a serious thing to say, which is, if you haven't thought about like the darkest shit, or like things like you wanted to like end your life or whatever, like as deep and fucking dark as that sounds, if you never have thought about that, then you aren't human. Yeah. Because we're all going through it, right? And like, that's the main thing. Like, it's perfectly natural to think of the darkest shit. But what we all have to do is remember that to keep moving, keep going, that things are going to always get better. And it always does. It's just usually you live in that moment where you're thinking that it's just going to be shit. So just persevere. That's it.
Thanks so much, man.
No worries.
Thank you. Wisdom.
No worries. Not y'all. Enjoy Toronto, and hopefully we can talk again.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Congratulations on the first episode on First, baby. Yeah.